It was Robert Frost, the great American poet, who quipped, "Good fences make good neighbors." Now there's, of course, a lot of truth in that, because we often need boundaries between us and others. We need to protect the privacy of others. But also, sometimes neighbors are toxic, and we need a fence between us and them. And sometimes some people are so toxic and poisonous that they harm an entire environment. They erode an entire neighborhood. And that is, in fact, what we have witnessed this past week with the shocking revelation that has come out of Cleveland, Ohio, with 3 women taken into captivity, kept as slaves for all these years, unknown by their families, not knowing where they were, lost, bereft, abused. Neighbors. This week's parashah addresses the very issue of neighbors and neighborhood, and the importance of a good neighborhood, placing yourself in a good neighborhood, choosing to be a good neighbor as well. And I'm referring to the fact that the entire encampment at the beginning of the book of Bamidbar, which is the 4th of the 5 books that we will begin to read this week, at the beginning of Bamidbar, it shows us the very way in which the encampment, the camp of Bnei Israel, of the people of Israel, was located and situated. The tribes were not placed in any kind of haphazard order, but the 12 tribes were arranged around a central place, around the Mishkan, around the tabernacle or mini shul, that portable shul they schlepped around for all those 40 years in the desert. There were 3 tribes on either side, with the Leviim having a central area. And the Levites, though, were the different tribes of Leviim, the different families, rather, of the Leviim, were close to particular tribes. And that is why the Torah says to us why Korach also managed to influence, Korach was a Levi, Korach managed to influence the tribe of Reuven and others that we will read in several weeks' time in the book of Bamidbar. And it says that Korach, who leads this great, Korach the demagogue, Korach the rebel, who leads this coup d'etat against Moshe unsuccessfully, Korach, it says, managed to influence the tribes around him, and from that Midrash learns, Oy l'rasha, oy l'shcheno. It says, woe to an evil person, and woe to his neighborhood. In other words, the neighbors, the tribe of Reuven, Shimon, and others, were influenced by their proximity to Korach to join his unsuccessful revolution. A neighbor has an impact on his neighborhood. A neighbor impacts on the people who live close to him. But it works the other way around too. And in this week's parashah, there is the comment of Rashi to where he brings the corollary, the very opposite, where he speaks about Tov l'shachen, that if a person has got the right kind of neighbor, then it has a positive influence on them. And that is why Moshe and Aaron were able to positively influence those who were living closest to them. The Torah highly values a good neighbor. In one of the most famous Mishnayot in the 2nd chapter of Pirkei Avot, where Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai asks his prized students, his prized disciples, and he says to them, tell me what is the most important thing to have in life? And they all give their answers. The one answer is a shachen tov, a good neighbor. And as is implied by that Mishnah, a good neighbor is someone who has a good heart. A good neighbor is someone who connects. A good neighbor is somebody who reaches out to others through their acts of kindness, of thoughtfulness, of compassion. They are there for you. You know, that's what it says in the thing. Neighbors, they are there for one another. And a good neighbor is there for you. A good friend is somebody who is there for you. A bad friend, a bad neighbor, is somebody who not only is bad for themselves, but they bring the whole neighborhood down. They erode the entire social environment. So, in contrast to those events in Cleveland, we say, human beings, we are capable, yes, of terrible depravity as being witnessed this week, but we are also capable of incredible acts of goodness, of thoughtfulness, of kindness. And therefore, be a good neighbor, choose a good neighborhood, and fulfill the mitzvah of V'ahavta l'recha kamocha, love your neighbor as yourself. Shabbat Shalom.